Alright, so we're going to jump right into this week's update, or rather, update on just generally what we've been up to. I'm going to load a quick new save, and let's jump right into it. Kind of breeze through this. You'll notice that recently we also added a new point here. So that way the infected will be able to capture that zone, lock it down, be able to secure it. I'm going to really quickly just kind of advance, take a couple points, so I can show you guys some of the newer stuff we've added in. Let me just really quickly just run over here and take some zones. You'll notice that we've actually added quite a bit of feedback. What we heard on the Discord recently, in terms of being able to play music. So we actually snuck it in there as well for this build. Oh, you also notice there's a little sound effect now for when you capture buildings. So like when you capture that, it'll play a sound effect. When you capture that, it'll play a sound effect. When you get money, it'll also play a sound effect, just to kind of let you know what's going on in the world. I'm gonna rush over here where I normally go to because I'm lazy and build a base over there. And we actually snuck in there, so essentially you could play music on the vehicles, and you can play music on the helicopters. And we actually added a directory that's committed by default on the Steam, so you can just drag and drop your music in there, and it'll actually automatically find it and put it on the game, so your vehicles and your little birds and all that can play it. Keep in mind they have to be WAV files for it to actually be playable. So let me just go ahead and get this base going, and I'll show you guys. I'm on a speaker. We also looked at a lot of feedback on Discord about basically just things being a little bit too expensive. So you'll notice that we kind of adjusted the prices across the board. We're still playing with those numbers just to kind of make sure they feel right and things aren't too cheap. Let me just kind of land some of these structures here. And no horde yet. Oh, and we are looking into basically adding a small little line of sight around manned structures like this, so that you'll actually be able to see, like, okay, what is actually around it, a small little radius. And then we'll tweak that as we get closer and closer to kind of final, and just kind of make sure it hits all the right numbers. Um, Let me go ahead and just kind of build some marines and see if I can't take that first location. Get a flamethrower. Hotkey at the group 2. Give them formation. Let's get those guys in position. We also do have, we're trying to basically combat this, where they just kind of run all retarded. So we are playing with that so that it's a little more complicated than it seems to basically make sure they aren't inside of each other when they're doing movement, and they're forced to keep their formations. So we're still kind of playing with that internally. Let me see if I can just basically build this. Oh, dicks. Just really quickly just gain enough money so I can get tier 2 so I can show you guys some of the new stuff I'm working on. And he is boned. Well, if you're gonna die, kill everyone with you. So we have made it easier. Let's see if she's built it already. Let's go ahead and have her place that down. Oh my god. Well, you're all dead. I probably should have macroed that a little bit better. Let's see.
I'll handle it. Give me orders. I've got your 6. Give me orders. Station.
As you command. Something is moving out there. On station. On station. Enemy sighted.
Oh, okay.
It's time to act. Away team is under attack. Awaiting orders.
As you wish.
Moving there. On station. Fall in. It's time to act.
Darn cats. Let's see.
I've got your
Feeling about this.
ready to go. As you wish. On station. I've got this under control. I'm ready.
On the go.
Moving out. As you command.
Alright, I'm gonna just kind of hit this point, and I should start making enough money to actually get to tier 2.
Please stand by. Supplies on the go. Away team is under attack. On station. Moving there. Ready to go. I'm ready.
Let's go ahead and get some reinforcements.
I've got your 6. On the go. Moving out. Moving there. Moving out. At your command. Your away team is under attack. As you command.
Got your 6.
What are your orders? On station. I'll handle it. Ready to go.
Hello. basically just kind of farming a little cash so I can basically show you guys the new Little Bird stuff. I'm getting my ass torn. Come on now. Winters, use your flashbang. Nah, fuck the scientists. Yeah, I kind of avoid trying to do that. We actually have a dev build with that. I should probably, when I do these, I'm gonna just start basically giving myself admin. This is actually a shipping build for his better performance, but you guys bring up a good point. And then in the future, I'll do it as a, I'll do it in the actual like build you can cheat in. Holy shit! They really don't like me. That's not worth the investment at this level. Yeah, I hear you. I seem to have quite the infestation problem, actually. I need to call the fucking animal control or something. If I can just... They look like they're pulling enough aggro where I can rush these guys in. Taking out this pod should definitely give me enough. There. I can take the bloody point. And then basically use the cash to... Let's see... Yeah, it was because I attacked it during a horde attack. And because I was being impatient. And I basically just can never attack a point with the horde attack going on. It would have been a lot worse if it had been like later in a couple of days into the game, because then it would have started spitting out, well, spitters and blow up guys. So it would have been even worse.
Moving out. It will be
Let me
done.
just kind of get all those guys over and send these cats to take this point, and then pretty much I'll have enough in just a moment.
Awaiting orders.
Oh yeah, the captain's right here. I have her in the back. That's an interesting bug. The cud went up. I'll have to write that down.
Moving out. Fall in.
Moving there.
Hostile or infected. The CERC is authorized to attack infected and non-infected people on site.
It's time to act. I've got this under control.
I'll handle it. Setting.
It will be done.
On station. As you command.
Moving out. It will be done.
I'll handle it.
As you wish. At your command.
Give me orders. I've got your 6.
Okay.
As you order.
Phase 2, almost.
Ready to go.
I just need to start pushing on all sides. That'll give me the money I need.
As you command.
And they decided to go to the sand. The slowest area to walk through in the entire game. Damn you.
I have a bad feeling about this.
What the? Oh, a bounty! And she's dead.
On the go. Moving
Oh,
out.
that gave me enough. Alright, let me just go over here. Go here. Build an engineer. Alright, and then let's get a motor pool, 2500. That's not much. We just capture this point.
On
Wait
station.
for my reinforcements to arrive.
I've got this under control.
Yeah, most people don't realize it, is that every single surface type makes your unit move faster or slower. So you kind of have to like watch where they're going. Because like going over sand obviously is the slowest one to run through. And then if it's raining, it gets even slower. Because it's like trying to simulate them getting stuck in it.
I'll
Or at
handle
least a little bit harder to get through it. If it's raining and you're walking on dirt, it'll actually slow you down a small amount, but it's still faster than running through like actual sand. So to a certain degree, it simulates like, oh look, we're on a different surface type. Let's kind of slow down for that surface type.
I have a bad feeling about
All right,
this.
so let me go ahead and build the motor pool. It's gonna play nicely. Let's put it over here. Elevation must be slightly off. Oh, that's why my little speaker was there. Duh. So
Give me orders.
right next to the generator, so it'll get the power it needs. If I could just wait for the helicopter to bring it in.
On station.
So this is our new little motor pool prefab that we've made over the last couple of weeks. It counts as a gas station, repair station. Yeah. If you right-click the game and you browse to the install and you open up the Cepheus Protocol folder, there'll be a radio music folder. Put your WAV files into that folder, and then you'll be able to play whatever music you want. I put some sample music in with the patch that's going to go out shortly after I finish streaming. That'll allow you to. Oh, okay. They don't like me very much. Oh, God. That'll allow you to basically give a teaser for it, and then it'll kind of give you an idea of where to put your music. That's another reason why I kind of cooked it in there.
I've got your 6. On station. I have a
I gotta get out of this fucking corner. Okay, let's push that alley. Let's push that. Let's push this. It only works with waves because of the way the engine handles audio data. You can actually use a free program called Audacity to convert any file you want to a wave, and then you can just drop it into the folder. Um, Long-term wise, we're gonna look into MP3s, but I think it's a technical thing on the engine where they just never really support it right out of the box. So we might be stuck with it, but definitely waves aren't too hard to convert. All right, let me go ahead and build the chopper you guys all been waiting for. So let that baby get built, and then when it comes in, essentially they just kind of fly from a nearby point, and then you get control of them when they land. And I'll send them over there to basically pick up those guys. Let's just kind of, let's see.
I've got your 6. As you order.
Ah, there it is. We are actually changing the UI. That's a good question. Let me post the picture that I put in suggestions. This is actually what we're doing, John. Let me get that little bird out to the field. They need reinforcements, so I'll pull these guys over. But yeah, that's generally the HUD we're going in for the direction. That way it'll make it more streamlined, where you don't actually you can make your own Alpha Bravo Charlie Foxtrot. You go all the way down to what letter abbreviation you want, but it'll give you more control of like, okay, how do I want to actually divvy these up? You can have 2 guys in Alpha and 3 in Charlie, and it won't limit your pop. Go gadget, get in the helicopter. Sorry, y'all. There's no room for the rest of you. So here, let me just kind of... Okay. So there's a little bug when this goes out in the public testing realm where like sometimes when you hit tab to follow the sparrow, it'll screw up your player camera. So just be aware of that, and we're going to actually probably hotfix that out in the next day or so. I'm going to basically just pull in this sparrow for air support. And as I see targets, I'll engage them. You can see that there's a gas thing right here. So if you run out of gas, obviously you crash. So you kind of want to make sure you're keeping an eye on your gas and resupply it. The gas will run out very slowly if you're idling. And basically, theoretically you could set up a patrol point with this and then just keep an eye on it. Let's see here. Let me go ahead and let me just kind of. They're not really attacking me too hard. Let me go back and show you guys how the resupply works as well. So if I drive it back over here. That is a very good point, and I will actually have my audio guys whip something up for it's like low gas or something like that, just to kind of convey it to you, because like that could get very frustrating. Oh, you're right. That's a very good point, and I'm definitely going to have that get situated. So let me land. If I can hit the land button properly. Oh, something's in the way. There you go. So if you land, you can see it's going to refill the gas. Can I get that guy in there? No, that's a good point. I'll definitely run that by my writer and see what they say. And then if I want to put music on, let's put on Ride of the Valkyries. And that's already in there by default. And we're just going to leave that in there just so people know when to put their music. So here, let me build another one. And then I'll have a bunch of them playing it. And then obviously as you idle, it'll take up gas. Now keep in mind, the fast rope, we had some technical issues over the last couple of days. It was kind of, stop that. We had some technical issues over the last couple of days, so it does work, as you can see. But they just kind of drop. We are working on an actual animation that should be in the next couple of days. So you can fast rope in theory. It's just it doesn't look pretty. That's just why it's going out in the public beta, so you guys can play it and tell us how you feel about the little bird. And then essentially, obviously the next couple of days, less than a week, definitely, we'll be aiming to basically get actual, like a rope comes down. They grab the rope and then they all slide down. And the length that it takes them to slide down is going to be drastically changed because right now they slide so damn fast. So let me just kind of get these information. We are adding more transport choppers for when we get the bigger maps. You're going to get the Chinook, which will be able to transport like I think 30 or 40 guys. I don't know if we finalized that number yet, but you'll be able to basically fill a whole army inside that Chinook and then drop it in the marshland or drop it into other maps that we're working on. But just kind of play nicely there. So let me just kind of land these guys, disembark them. We'll probably have to put in a feature to turn off their engine for people that want to go like totally like realistic. We just kind of land these over here. And I'll just land them on this roof here. And yeah, you can drop your guys on this roof, and then they can shoot down, if they can see, of course. This will be kind of like a thing we're testing on. Here, let me show you guys. So if I grab one of these guys over here, let me actually resupply that fellow over there. And if I land the chopper, and you can also right-click the chopper, and it'll come down. And if I pull it over here, and then keep in mind, it's not going to be super obvious which buildings you can land on and which ones you can't. We're going to be working on that in terms of making it like, okay, you can land on these, and maybe we'll add like a marker, so it's super obvious to you. So now you can put guys up here, and then they'll basically lay in work of guys. So you can put sleeper teams, basically, on the roofs. So your snipers actually have a reason to kind of like, you know, be in the front lines. Is you can basically drop some sniper teams on that roof, or like these roofs. These are definitely lockable. This is... there's some technical issues with these, so we're still working them out, again, which is why it's on PTR. You can walk on these roofs. So if it's like super flat, I think these roofs over here are bugging out, but we're working on those, so that will be fixed the next couple of days. But you guys can at least just get in there, play with it, and see how it feels. Like, how does this work? And then just keep in mind, at the current time, you're kind of a god up here. The only thing you really have to worry about is ammo. So theoretically, you could put a bunch of guys on your roofs and kind of just hold it. I'm sure there's going to be bugs like this where like I guess they were able to shoot that guy. Huh. That's awkward. Okay, we'll have to look at that. But you figure there's definitely going to be little bugs here and there that we're going to have to look into. So as you guys run into them, just let us know on Discord. We'll make a ticket based off of priority, and we'll be basically just kind of hitting them left and right. Because I know on the first week of next month, we're going to redo the entire generator and power system. And we're going to make it more like Fallout 4 or like City Skylines, where you have like a generator and you connect it to structures, and they can't attack those wires, but you can actually make a supply chain for power to where like if you want to have like, you know, an energy base here or here, you can clear out the land with this brush, and then you can build a small little energy compound there, and then run the wire to your forward turrets across the map. You know, and then that'll become a target, obviously, for the worms and the more higher tech, you know, infected. But that's something that we're definitely going to be pushing towards for the first week of next month. So, there's a major thing that we did there. So let me just kind of load these up, and we'll do some drive-bys, and I'll show you guys a little bit more there in terms of the music. And then I'll take any questions you guys might have. I should probably take them back and refuel. The gas is going to kind of be a constant thing that we're just kind of tweaking, because really, when it comes down to it, you know, it's the ammo and it's the gas that's really going to kind of keep your units like balanced in terms of like these things being OP. The little birds can be attacked by the spitters. So the spitters can spit on the little birds and shoot them out of the sky. So just be aware of that. That is a thing. So they're not completely unstoppable. But it does take a while to kind of get them, like, knocked out of the sky. So it's not going to be like you're flying and then immediately you get shot down. The factions will be looking into them basically having, like, armor piercing or, like, special rounds to basically shoot, and will most likely be adding in at that time, like, critical points. So, like, if they shoot a certain part of the helicopter, maybe you start spinning around a little bit and you can't control it as easily. We'll be looking a lot at company heroes and how they do their vehicles. Once we kind of get more of the framework in there, and just make them feel a little more realistic. So, like, you can get, like, a critical hit that'll have your gas start leaking. And then, like, you'll have to make a combat landing. And then have to send out another helicopter, because that one's probably going to go crashing into a building. Now, mind you, when they die, they kind of just fall to the ground. But we are going to be looking into basically having it to where you can actually have them, like, spin out of control and ram into one of your cars, or, like, little things here and there add a little more life to the world. So, like, they're actually dying and they're panicking when they die. So we're going to, like, do a combat drop. Let's do the hot zone. Let's die horribly. And while we're at it... Oh, wait, I don't want to do that. Wrong button. Let's play some music. Oh, that's right. You can only select one and play music. And let's just kind of rush right in and do a combat drop. And they're pretty darn good about getting around buildings. I mean, if you guys notice any things where they're clipping, do record those, and we'll definitely try and figure out a way of why the heck it's happening. Protect the choppers! Don't get in the chopper. Protect the chopper. So I'll leave 2 guards with the choppers. Let's land them over here. Let's see if I can address your question real fast. Let's see. Right now, the music does not actually call them, but it will. You know what? Let me write that down, because we'll sneak that in next patch, like sometime over the next couple of days, like early next week. Because that's the easy thing to do, to basically make it just pulse into the world and make them, like, very mad. Because then the only thing is that, I guess the only thing you can count into is that once you do that, it's a good idea for basically just kind of generating some amount of, like, ambient to kind of draw them into a kill zone. Just keep in mind that when we add that, they're going to start chasing after your helicopters. So, I guess there's a kind of a balance to that. Let's go ahead and just push north. Yeah, and obviously it's good for that, like, RP when you're getting into the situation and you really just want to, like, get that battle music going. Yeah, but it's still hilarious. I'm all for it. Or, like, giving people, like, interesting gameplay opportunities like that. And then you can see, like, I could theoretically have a crew of 4 guys on this little bird. Like, I could have heavies, I could have snipers, I could have assaults. I guess you could try a flamethrower. We haven't actually tried that internally, a flamethrower yet. But in theory, you could do that, and then you could have them covering your advances from the sky. You just gotta watch their gas, and essentially just like, you know, make sure that you're not like getting too low. And I'm sure there, oh yeah, there's a little bit of clippery going on, so they'll definitely have to be adjusted for that. Yeah, you could definitely do that. Just keep in mind, that's definitely going to be a point of balancing, because we want to make them not super accurate. So we'll probably have to play with that a little bit to make sure it's not too OP. But that's definitely something you'll be able to do. We cap that point. I'll have to send the little birds back to get gas, and then I'll load up some more guys, and then do a couple more hits and runs. And then let me get some JLTVs in this party. It's not a party until you have 50 cal vehicles driving around the streets. Oh, when you're selecting music, keep in mind you can't do both at the same time. You just select one and then hit radio. And then you can pretty much put whatever you want on there. Ah, yes, they're arriving. Come back. What are you doing? Where are you going? Let's land those babies. Get them the gas they need. And then... Alright, those are loaded up. Let me just get my cat off my case. My cat thinks he owns the place. He'll probably turn off my power cable. He likes to sabotage me. Turn off my computer, rather. Alright, so let's get these cars out in the front. And yes, the cars can play music now. We kind of snuck that in there as well. So if I click on this car, I can have it play music as well. So if you don't want to have to have air units, you don't have to play music. See, we weren't sure if that was too frustrating to have to basically constantly have to move your scientists back to the medical facility to deposit samples. We initially had that. I would say, what was that? Maybe about like 6 months ago when we were doing QA tests, and it just didn't resonate with people that they were picking up the samples, and they actually had to bring it back. So we ended up actually simplifying it, so you had to just touch it, and then it would basically just auto-deposit. But I mean, I don't know, like, we're not against it, it's just, if we were to go back to that, we'd want to probably make sure that it's explained. Just because of the confusion that arose from it previously. Oh, come on! That guy needs to learn how to drive. And we need better pathfinding closing, but still. Alright, so let's see if we can't advance. Let's advance towards that massive horde and fuck up their day. So, here we go. And let's leave a small little crew that'll just sit there and guard that. Oh, it's adorable. Please don't tell me he's stuck. Get out of that car. And you guys need to catch up with the crew. Holy shit. Get out! Yeah, they're fucked. I'll position the car to cover them. Holy shit. Hopefully Winters isn't in there. Oh, thank God she's not in there. You might want to actually just push towards where they're reinforcing. Oh, damn! Okay, they're gone. The blow-up guys will blow up when you run them over now. So, yeah. Never pleasant for your car's armor. I think what we're probably going to do is probably add a lower level hover that makes you more visible, but allows your units to have a better accuracy because they get closer to the ground for when you're doing like raids like this, so that they'll maybe drop another 10 feet, like maybe somewhere around here. And then we'll give them maybe a small little accuracy boost, but obviously there's a greater chance that you can get hit, and your units can get hit by acid, and obviously other big monsters that come into play. Oh, they must be out of ammo. I guess that's a problem, is you can't really see the ammo of the boys on your little birds. I'll probably have to take them back and resupply them. That's an odd bug. Well, the Spring Brock is holding it down. I guess the cool thing now is you guys can actually build engineers teams, send them across the map, backcap something, start building an outpost, and then push in from both sides by basically just kind of dropping combat engineers and then giving them an escort. And theoretically, I could just go over here or over there, start and basically like upend my entire base, and just play it differently this one time. How are we doing on your health? Looks like you're about to bleed out and die. Oh, he is gonna die. He has 1 health. How you're still alive is beyond me. So yeah, let me get these guys out of here because they're gonna get overran any second now, I think. Yeah, they're gonna die. So let's land these helicopters. And let's get those guys in there. And Spring Brock, you were always fucked. And then let's get them out of there. I did my drive-by, I'm happy. Let me see your question. Oh, so basically like the Q&A we did previously. If I understand you right, John? But more like question focused, essentially. Oh, okay. Oh, wow, they ran out of ammo. Give me 1 second. I'm pretty much done presenting what we're gonna put on the QA build. Well, they're rather the public testing realm. So let me just pause it there and answer your question. So let's see. If you're talking about that formula, we're trying to at least do that every month or a couple of months. Where basically we just have people on the team just kind of come on and talk about it, and then you can ask questions about the story, the animations, the gameplay, X, Y, and Z. But yeah, that's definitely a goal. Um, I would say, what's today? Look at the calendar. Hold on. I would say the next one is going to most likely be around October, around, say, Halloween, because that's when we'll have the next major thing to talk about. In terms of, like, there'll be so much more content added in that we can just kind of spend an hour, 30 minutes, 40 minutes just talking through the game, getting what you guys have to say about it. Because at that point, the factions will be in, the doctrines will be in. We'll be able to show you guys parts of other maps that you'll be able to go and play on. Um, Let me open my calendar and I'll tell you. So as it stands right now, co-op and modding is November and December. Now there's always a chance that could be pushed back based off of just bugs arise out of the factions or the open world pandemic map update, and then things get moved around to kind of like make sure people don't like kill themselves over having to work all the time. So I'm gonna say that it's still gonna be November, December for that, but it might be pushed back to January. It could be pushed back to February, but it's definitely a design goal to get those done and out by the end of the year. Um, just keep in mind the co-op will be 4 players, and you'll share resources, and you'll basically player one will basically be like a GM, and like essentially he can approve like things like he'll give you units, give you money if you want, or if you keep it all open. We're still trying to formulating like how to make it to where you don't have trolls joining your game if you want to play it publicly. But if you want to play with close knit friends that you trust to make the right decisions of like how you want to invest your money, how are you going to use your DNA samples, stuff like that. So we've kind of come up with like some kind of, I guess you could say, idea of how to restrict it in a way to where you can like basically have people join, give them rights, full rights or just limited rights of how much money they can spend, or maybe just shoot them money like a tribute trade screen so they can buy units so they don't just spend all your fucking money if like a rando joins your game and you're publicly hosting and then they just run away because they just spent all your money and then threw all the units into the trash can. So we're kind of A, designing it so it works with your best friends, and B, will also counter trolls, especially people that want to play online publicly. Um, well, what we're thinking is that it'll just be a simple flag. You can just turn it on or off at any given time. So if someone's not spending the money, because ultimately you're in the host's world, it's his experience, and you're just basically, along for the ride. In terms of basically like taking over the world and choosing how your group, how your team is gonna, push their how they want to basically control it. So essentially, we're thinking about just having a tool or a window or a dialogue that the host can just configure the game at any time and lock it down or basically just unlock it. So that way you don't have to like have different game modes and all that stuff. And maybe what we do is we just do a server browser where you can just see at what mode the server's currently in. So you can be like, well, I don't want to join a game where it's totally locked down or X, Y, and Z, or it's still in the early focus, in the early like planning stages. And on top of that, it might just be that we put it in there, you guys don't like it, and then we have to change it. So we're still really open to basically just like, okay, this didn't work as well as we thought it did, so let's tear it all down and come up with a better way. So I mean, regardless, you guys will get to play it early because we'll put it up on the Patreons get to play it first, and then at the same time the public testing, like the QA testers will play it. They'll give us our feedback, and then from there it'll basically go on to like everyone else being able to play it. So that way we can just kind of super refine it for the point where it gets out to everyone, and then it's basically just like a shit show because it's poorly implemented. So we're gonna have like a staggered rollout for co-op and a staggered rollout for modding. The same way we're doing everything. Where basically we try not to just throw everything out into the public. We like to like just kind of slowly release things and tickle them on the public testing realm, let you guys play it and break it, and then make it as possibly as bugless as possible. Obviously, there's going to be bugs, it's early access, and we're a limited team in terms of our capabilities, but our goal is to make it as obviously 1.0, everything's fixed. Um, I actually do have Man of War. I have not had the actual time to play it too much. In terms of the multiplayer, I played the single player, and that was one of like the games I played to get some ideas from. Um, but I will definitely add that to my list of games to play to basically see if there's anything interesting that we can pull from. Because I know we were talking about Halo Wars. We were looking at basically how they do their shared resources and how to not make it as arcadey and make it play like Stellaris, but take some aspects of Men of War. And I guess what we were trying to play with in terms of a co-op, where like you kind of share the same group, but you kind of have like those management and those things to basically like kind of give people like access to do some things, and just make it to where the host can control everything. So that's what we're going for. But I'll definitely install that and give that a try when I have a chance. Let me just turn down the audio so I can just answer any questions you guys might have. Um, oh well, that's a bug. Let me just stop that. So, I don't know. Was there any other questions that you guys have before I wrap up this stream? Any other things you guys have been curious to kind of throw in there that you feel we should add? Any questions? I don't know. Let me just kind of pull these over. I can feel like they're gonna crash any second now. Every player will have their own doctrine. That'll be like the breaker, or basically like every, because then that will build, it'll tech into basically like, okay, um, Bob is gonna be the engineer, Sally is gonna be the mobile infantry, and Philip is gonna be the armored corps. And that way you all come together and you basically just kind of fill in the chinks in the armor. Basically, like, okay, that guy is going to be the guy we rely on to basically get the tanks in. Well, strikers getting in, Apaches to cover the rest of the team. That guy is going to be the guy that comes in, builds electrified fences, reinforces those areas. Um, Sally over there is going to be the one that comes in with the engineer, mobile infantry. Well, mobile infantry would basically be they're going to be the ones that come in with the Javelin rocket launchers, the 18-4 rockets. They're going to have the mules so they can resupply the team as they're moving deeper into the island or deeper into other sections of other islands. So the idea is it'll be like a symbiotic relationship because you're all going to build off each other to be able to thrive. Um, and like at the end of the day, yes, you'll share money, you'll share resources. Otherwise, it'd be a nightmare. But you'll all have your own little abilities, your own call-ins. Like right now these call-ins are very generic, but some of these are going to be moved. Like the carpet bomb is going to be moved to the mobile infantry doctrine, and then the each one's going to have their own special call in. Each one's going to have their own special abilities they can call in, like units they can basically summon, like company heroes. So the idea is that like you can every play style is different. How you approach the game, and like you kind of lock in there the moment you start, and you're locked in there to the end. Um, I don't know if we're gonna add it in so you can pay a premium like in game, like obviously like pay extra cash or maybe DNA to retech the respec. I don't know if we want to do that. It'll come down to basically just kind of like how things play out. Of a lot of people dropping games and leaving you fucked. So like should you have the ability to retech or relearn a different doctrine and then start over and then you just basically you start over from zero on your points. That's something that we're gonna play with, just to kind of throw it out there. My cats are knocking stuff over. They're terrorists. Um, so to answer your question, John, we are looking into adding a logistics vehicle that will basically resupply ammo and transport units. It's funny you mentioned that because I actually was talking to one of our modelers yesterday about putting in. Let's see if I can find it in the level. It looks like these. This right here. So we're going to be adding it. Basically, we're going to reskin that one, and we're going to add that in as like a logistical truck. That's like that'll be like really cheap. Doesn't have any defenses. It'll basically be your version of a little bird or your version of a Chinook, where you can load up a whole team in those, and then basically have the JLTVs providing security while you transport units across the map to go and like reinforce a position or whatever, or X, Y, and Z. Um, Okay, let me click on that link. Yeah, yeah, something along those lines. That's exactly what we're looking at in terms of like it's purely for transport, and then we're looking into basically adding some amount of logistics support off of it, where you can get supplies. We want to make sure we don't take away from the mule in terms of like, well, what's the point of going down the armored mobile infantry doctrine if you get that on any of the doctrines? So we're still kind of playing with it internally of like how to balance it. So there's a reason we go mobile infantry because mobile infantry is about just rapid movement. Like you're constantly moving. You don't stop. You don't really build that many bases. You're just a constant like going in a direction, and like that's why like you'll have like this little robot you can have that'll drive behind your units and it'll just drop ammo. So you won't be dropping ammo boxes like every 20 or 30 seconds. You can just have a huge mob of men and just secure block after block after block. And then obviously, we'll put in, there's going to be counters that we're going to put in on the infected side. There's a lot of like creatures and little things that we're working on to basically make it to where she'll actually start to fortify your locations. So like let's see if I can show you guys a couple quick examples to just show you guys kind of how this is gonna like evolve, I guess you could say, over the next couple of months. So let's see if I can find it. Okay, hold on. Whose folder was it in? Ah, here it is. So it would be this one, and then it would be this one. So we're looking into basically adding stuff like this, that'll like, creep over the map and basically like, slow down your advances. Now you gotta bring up flamethrowers, you gotta bring up other units that clear debris in the map. You know, some of them will attack you. So like right now where it's really easy to move around and go anywhere you want, now she'll start building like biomass, like things in certain areas of the map that'll inhibit your ability to move, or it'll attack you via a sentry that just sends out spikes. Oh, one sec, Michael. I'm broadcasting. Give me 1 second. But sorry about that. I'm in my public Discord on the developer thingy. But essentially, those are things that we're adding in just to kind of counter the doctrine. So if it sounds like the doctrines are going to be broken, we're already working on solutions to basically put you back in your place when you start to kind of like, you know, rapidly advance or take too many zones. It's the reason why we'll be reintroducing the Juggernaut, and then we'll be reintroducing the Juggernaut with better AI and be able to destroy objects in his way. Because we had it previously, and he would like get stuck on trees or whatever. But now we found some better tech of just making the trees disappear, or if we can bend them or break them, but we might just end up just making them disappear, then they go back. Um, Moving cars around when he hits them. So those are definitely things that we're always kind of looking into, like the juggernauts, the worms, and other creatures that I'll show later on. Will be things that we kind of put in there to kind of like say, okay, like you're playing this doctrine, they're gonna play dirty, and they're gonna start bringing out these type of units to basically counter you. And obviously we'll go more into that as we get towards the year 2, because we have some pretty cool plans for that. Like unit types and subdivisions and classes and all that stuff. So I think I've answered all your questions. Let me just make sure. Yeah, to answer your question, you will be able to transport vehicles with the Chinook. So if your friend texts into the Chinook, they can pick up your car, and then they can drive it across the map, and then just drop your ass. So basically, go and fight stuff, and then you could have guys in the Chinook, or you could have guys in the vehicle. So theoretically, if you want to stage a raid on an outpost of like one of the factions, or if you want to, upend Chelsea, but you don't want to fight through all these heavily, like densely populated zones, or maybe you just don't want to fuck with the civilians that you get pissed off all game. Um, for evacuating civilians, we're still not sure if we're gonna go that route because you figure we're gonna go the route of keeping them contained and in perimeters, but we're not gonna go the route of evacuating them just because it's not in the lore. The virus is they don't know who's infected or who's not, and even in the book it covers that. Well, I don't want to spoil the end of the book, but let's just say that there are some ramifications that explain why that's not feasible once they start to learn what the virus is and how it works. So at this point, they're just trying to do damage control and separate people that have been in the zones that have been affected. Let me see what the picture. So radio operators are interesting because Winters kind of serves as indirect radio operator right now for the airstrike call-ins. Um, that is a good point. Maybe we could end up tying in some of the airstrikes to instead be an ability on a unit. Huh. I'll have to basically just kind of run it over with the team and see how they think and just kind of run that on the Discord as well. But I mean, I'm not against that because then you get it away from the Chelsea Winters, and then maybe we have like some kind of special unit I actually remember that actually now that you mentioned that, and maybe we have some kind of radio operator unit where that's who you're calling your airstrikes, and that's the guy that has like a very basic gun, and he just basically like that way to keep them in your teams, and they have very basic defensive roles, but their primary focus is just to variation of airstrikes you can call in on zones, and that would solve being able to airstrike zones outside the fog of war and all the other stuff. Um, yeah, we have different airstrikes for every doctrine. Maybe for the sake of just what's the word? I don't know if we'd have enough time to make a different unique version for every single doctrine, but we could probably make a general corpse splitter radio man that is shared between all of them. Then basically, depending on what doctrine you have, then essentially you would be able to call it whatever is unique to your group or your faction. Um, that would probably be a little bit more achievable based off of just the time constraints that we have, because we're always anxious. Everyone on the team is anxious about adding in new things that are too over the top because we want to make sure that we're able to hit upon the things that are on our roadmap already. And there's always a danger of bleeding over once you start to kind of like add too much in some area. So we're trying to basically just kind of, I guess you could say, keep a clamp on that, but at the same time still make sure it's like we're adding in the things that need to be put in there. Um, let's see. Any other questions? Uh, I think I'll take one more question. So if anyone has any maps, okay. Yeah, I think we have a question about maps. What about them? So good question. Let's see if I can bring up. Let's see. Save. No. No, that opens up a web page. If I go to a new game, I think. Let me just delete you. Don't care. I'm pretty sure we updated the graphic here. Let me see if I can show you. Oh, the slow-mo is on. There it goes. So I think there's a slide for this actually. Yeah. Okay. So right here, the world map, to kind of cover what you're asking, is essentially what our goal is to basically push towards the direction of Kenshi, where essentially Treasure Island is one part of the world, and then you have Angel Island, the Presidio, in downtown San Francisco. But you could go to all of them basically just by loading up some guys and driving them over there. Now, the technical part of it obviously will be is the optimization and making sure that everything plays nicely and everything stays in sync. But that's kind of like after factions, that's the next thing we're working on, where essentially it would be one continuous map. Now, worst case, technically, if we can't get it to all play nicely, there'll be a loading screen, and then, because what we want to do is we want to make it to where Bob and Sally can go to Treasure Island, and Philip and Cheney can go to Presidio. You don't have to all play on the same map. So you can push your own lanes. You can basically go to your own zones and basically wage your war. And obviously everything is saved on the host's save file, so when everyone comes back and plays it again, you'll have everyone's status of where they were in the world. Or all four players can go to one zone in one province and beat that, and then decide as a group, okay, we're gonna go here, and then Chelsea reinvaded, or maybe a faction reinvaded Treasure Island from the water, so we're gonna go fuck them up, and then we're gonna then we're gonna jump over back to the Presidio, because every group will have like an outpost in each zone, I guess you could say. Which is why I'm saying like there's always a chance that co-op and modding could be delayed because the world map is going to be huge. So it's going to add a lot of replayability. You should see your play sessions go from like 2 to 4 hours, easily 12 hours. I would say 12 to 16 hours of like now you're hunting Chelsea down, and you're hunting down a bunch of other like you're trying to stop the infection over all of these maps. So Chelsea won't just be on Treasure Island. She'll jump around. So now you're actually having to hunt her and find where is she in the world? Where can I find her? That kind of deal. And then that would be like, okay, let's load up some little birds and let's go find her. kind of deal, where like you can just kind of, let's say you get to the point where you have shredder rounds and you've only secured one island, and you have three other islands that she could possibly be on, and she's already kind of noped her way out. Like now, you have to basically figure out, okay, do we want to go to Angel Island? Do we want to just sequentially just destroy and resecure every island until we find Chelsea? And just kind of go that way. So that's what we're pushing towards, and um, that will kind of that'll bring it round circle of like now you have these huge teams that you're deploying and you're sharing with your allies. Um, yeah. So that's definitely what we're going for, which is why I'm always living. I'm, like we're saying November, December for co-op and modding, but world map might just take all the way to like December, and then we might just start doing co-op, and then we might try and ship that January end of December, and then do modding early next year. It's very, very like situational based off of how things come up, the bugs that arise, because everything's changing every week, every day. Of like people come on Discord, something's broken, so we gotta shift resources over to fix that, and we're happy to do that. It's just that obviously, we have to basically, it's a juggling act at all times. Um, but yeah, so that kind of like nails that down, I would say. The AI improvements, this one's kind of hasn't been talked about, and it's kind of been snuck in small little increments over the last couple of weeks to months. We're gonna have a phase probably in between factions and world map where we have to just kind of do AI improvements so that the AI are more intelligent. And then obviously when we're working vehicle pathfinding and all of that's going to be an ongoing thing. We're going to be constantly going back, improving the vehicle pathfinding, improving the unit pathfinding based off of things you guys find, just to make sure that it's not like they're not stupid. Because there are times where like I play the game and I'm just like, what the fuck are they thinking? Because like they'll legitimately go back and forwards, and those are hard things to find. But we are allocating time and basically gonna fix those in just a matter of time, rather. Um, so I think I've answered all you guys' questions. Um, we try to do this every Saturday, but if there's not enough that we're doing that week, then we push it over to the next Saturday. So we try and like let people know for Friday before. So 1 day, 2 day warning typically of like, hey, we're gonna stream on Saturday. We're gonna show you guys what we have. So next Saturday, um, I would expect to be streaming again, but we'll notify you guys on Discord because we're going to be having quite a few things go in next week, like the better repelling, some little bird fixes. Um, what else are we doing? I mean, like little things here and there, like quality of life things are going to be adding. We're going to be looking into basically adding it so you can see like every unit that's being trained. I don't know if you guys played Age of Empires 3, but we looked at that game recently and we saw how they have a little like spanner on the top left that shows as you're buying units or upgrading, it just shows everything you're building on every structure. Then you can right click on it and then it'll take you to that building. So then that way you'll know, oh, I'm trading six, Marines at this barracks and two Marines at that barracks, and they're at X, Y, and Z proficiency because they're being trained in Delta Force kind of deal. Um, so that like we get it. Is that like it's really weird that you guys can't see what's being trained. So our fix is add it on the top left, somewhere over here, as like a little like box that would just show you like it would just go as long as you're training units, and then you can just click on it and then double click on it and it would take you to that building. And the second thing we'll be working on is having it to like if you click on a barracks, it'll actually like if you click on a search trailer, you click on a barracks and you're training someone, it needs to show the status of their training somewhere over here. So we're having our UI guys look at that because that's our bad. We need to actually add that because it's very rudimentary of just kind of like that needs to be in there to kind of give you guys the information you need, to play the game of like you don't even remember. Sometimes I don't even remember what we're building sometimes. So we are working on that front, and then obviously we're redoing the whole UI in the next. I think we were aiming for the next 2 weeks or less. Is that we're going to redo the UI and do that new version that I posted in Twitch chat earlier. Okay, so you're saying like this, right? Like a drop down like that. So if you click on a barracks, you can click on a drop down, it'll come up. Okay. Okay, I get what you mean. But are you saying that as well for the top left corner, where it has like this over here? We should be able to click that up and down, or are you saying just for like if you select the barracks and then it shows you your current build queue? Just to clarify. Let me just kind of really quickly hop into a game so I can just kind of show you what I mean. Oh, top corner. Ah, okay, yeah, I get what you mean. Because then it could get cluttery if you're really macroing or you're really controlling a lot of stuff. Because I mean, it'd just be like and run all the way across, and that can be a little bit obnoxious. Um, so that's gonna be modding, Fox. If you want to make custom guns with different attachments and all that. Um, that's definitely going to be a thing that we're going to add where you can switch out characters, switch out guns, anything you want, change out the numbers in the game. Um, but that's going to be like Decemberish, maybe January. If the open world pandemic mode just ends up being a monster, which I'm sure it's going to be, because I mean this map is going to turn into like Angel Island over there, and then 3 provinces in San Francisco down here. And there's gonna be a lot going on, and you're gonna have to like have like probably a flip book to switch between all the mini maps so you can see what's going on at any given time. Um, so let me see. What was I gonna show you guys? I think I showed that. Yeah, I always move those GLTVs back. Let's see. I think that's all of it. Okay, so I'm gonna end it there, and thank you guys for dropping in. And just keep dropping in your suggestions. Give us what you guys think of. Like, if you guys could go in and play the Little Bird after I drop the update in the next like 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, I'll put up a ping. The official patch notes will go up as well on Steam. And then if you guys could jump in there, play it, destroy it, break it, have fun with it, figure out what you don't like, figure out what you do like, drop that on our Discord, drop that on our Steam forums, and then that way we can take all that and just basically, put it into our Friday roll up. Because every Friday we get together and we talk about everything you guys have said in discussions or on Steam. Like we have like an hour or two. Sometimes where we'll legitimately go through the Discord chat, use the search, go through Trello, go through Steam, and we're like, what are people saying? What do they want? What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? What are they saying on the reviews? So we definitely do take everything you guys are saying into consideration when we do anything. So yeah. Thank you guys for being an awesome community, and I hope to catch you guys next stream next Saturday at 2 o'clock. Have a good one.